What's going on, J Squad? Welcome back to the bunker. I'm your man, Sarn J Max. With me, as always, is Sarn Janome. What's going on, Sarn? How was your Thanksgiving? A lot of turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, ham? Yes, sir. Pumpkin pie? Yes, sir. Welcome back to the bunker, guys. So, I don't know if you remember or not, but a few months back, I posted a video on my dry fire training accessories that I use to get better at shooting while here at home. And I just wanted to give you guys an update on the progress that I've made over the last few months since working with the equipment that I have, and just kind of run through a couple of the items that I have again, just to kind of refresh your memory on the tools that I've been using. And then I'll post some clips in the video so that way you guys can see some shots on target. Now, unfortunately, I only have, the one phone, so I only have one camera angle, but I did point the camera at the target so that you guys will be able to see, the shots on target. You'll be able to hear the little sound that it makes if you haven't hit the target in a while, and then you'll see what the target does once you surpass or hit the target 100 times, and the little celebration jingle that you get at the end. But just to kind of refresh everything, this, if you guys don't remember, is the target I bought. And like I said, I got it off Temu. Now they run usually about, $8 or $10, depending on what time of year it is. You might be able to find them on sale, but I've got a couple of these, and as you can see, it's got the, I'll turn it on. So it's got the lights, and then if you can't tell very well, there's a little section right in the middle here that's kind of the sweet spot as far as where you can hit on the target in order to, indicate that you hit the shot on target. And again, this is the laser cartridge that I use. It's for the 9mm pistol. I got it off Amazon. That was about $20. And the good and the bad thing about these is that they're good for close range distance shooting. Now, in the information I read about it, excuse me, there was somebody that was saying they were having difficulty hitting past 40 feet. So that's quite a long shot. I don't have that much room. I don't have the area outside to be able to take it outside and set it up. And then again, if I have my weapons outside, that might cause people to overreact and, contact the police. And I don't need that kind of drama. But I don't have the space to be able to push it out beyond 40 yards. But the distance I'm shooting at in my house here is about 5 to 7 yards, maybe a little bit more than 5, closer to 7. So again, it's still within that 21 feet of distance that, you typically would find yourself in a self-defense situation, either in the home or out in a public place or anything like that. So again, it does give me some accurate feedback as far as hits on target, and it does give you the little jingle. And again, I'll put some clips in the video, and you guys will be able to see the hits on target. You'll be able to see that it does give you instant feedback, because if you're paying attention to the target, you can tell obviously when you hit center, because it's going to give you a little sound that you connected. But then if you're paying attention, you'll be able to see around the target, maybe where the laser hit. So if it's low and left or high and right, or whatever the case may be, you can work on adjusting your grip, adjusting your trigger squeeze. And that's the one thing that I found that really helps with, my accuracy when going to live fire. And again, this is the little box that it comes in. So runs off 3 AAA batteries, super simple, super easy. And again, I think it's really helping my accuracy, my trigger squeeze, my target acquisition, things of that nature. And the other thing I like to do is, if I am going to go to the range on any particular day, if it's on the weekend or if it's on a day where I'm off work and the range is open because it's not a holiday where they're closed, I'll generally, do, 5-10 minutes, maybe about 5 magazine equivalent to what would be 50 shots, because again, I live in California, and the bad words that run this state have us in a magazine capacity ban. So unfortunately, we don't get the standard magazines. I don't know why they call them large capacity magazines. They're standard for anybody else outside of California. But they'll do anything they can to try to make it look bad and sound worse than what it actually is. So again, we're not privy to having the standard capacity magazines that most of the pistols out in the normal states of the country, except for those few like mine, that have access to. So 10 rounds is what we get. So again, I'll do about the equivalent of 5 magazines, so 50 shots total. Again, like I said, I'll do that typically on a day where I'm going to go to the range just to kind of get my target acquisition, my grip, my stance, everything, kind of set up so that I don't go out to the range and I'm like super cold. It's kind of like, warming up before you play sports or anything like that. But the only difference is, again, you're not going to get the actual recoil. You do have to reset the slide after every shot. So, those are the differences between some of the other training equipment out there. And again, this system doesn't require you to download an app or anything like that. You get the instant feedback right there at the time that you're shooting. So as long as you're paying attention to the target, and like I said, you'll be able to see if your shots are going low, off to the left or right, or high, whatever the case may be. And you can adjust your grip, your trigger squeeze, and all of that at that time so that you're getting your shots to actuate the target. So I am going to go out to the range in a little bit today. And, for the first 20 rounds I shot, I was using Sabrina, the PSA Dagger Saber ported. Again, I haven't shot this gun in a while, so I wanted to, get some shots on target and do some dry fire practice before I went out to the range. And as you can see, there's no bullet in the chamber, no magazine, so Sabrina is clear. And I was also going to shoot Raven, my Ross Martin RM1C comp. And as you can see, there's no bullet in the chamber, no magazine, so Raven is clear as well. So again, guys, I ran through about, 5 magazines total on each one for a total of about 100 shots. And again, you'll see in the video, the video clips of the target. And excuse my makeshift shooting range. Yes, I have to use my ironing board and stack boxes up and, do all that kind of stuff just because I want, at least the target to be at a good eye level and a good ready level so that as I'm presenting the gun, I'm bringing the dot up to my eye and all of that stuff. Just, again, working on my target acquisition and getting my sight on target and then, going through the motions of the trigger squeeze. So, again, like I said, with this particular system, you're not going to get the recoil feedback or anything like that. But the benefit to it is you don't have to wear any earplugs. You don't waste any ammo going to the range and, shooting maybe 2 or 3 magazines to get warmed up. And then going into your training session, from this point, I can just pack everything up, head out to the range and load up the magazines and start firing right away if I want to. Or if I want to get that recoil feel, I can go ahead and, throw 5 or 10 rounds in a magazine, put some shots down range. And then once I get acclimated to the grip and how much, pressure I need to use with both hands, then I'll be able to, get back on target and start putting some shots down range. But I just wanted to do a follow-up video for you guys. And if you're liking any of this content, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, comment, like, and subscribe. Please share this video with others out in the YouTube two-way space. I really think this is a very good system, very inexpensive. As I mentioned, some of them are, $50, $60, all the way up to a couple $100. You got to have apps for your phone. You got to have, space and all of that stuff. This little guy takes up very little space, as you'll see. And, it's very simple to use, and you still get the feedback as far as shots that are missed. And if you know what you're doing, and hopefully you do when you're shooting your pistol, you'll know that it's either your grip or your trigger squeeze, so those are all things that you can work on, again, without having to link up to an app, use up your Wi-Fi, whatever the case may be. Sergeant Ohm, you got anything to add to that? Dry fire training translates live fire, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Outstanding. Oh, yeah, guys. And just make sure when you're going to do your dry fire training that you don't have any ammo in the area. You make sure you check and see that, whatever pistols you're going to use are clear and free and, safe to use. And if there's going to be anybody, else in the house with you, just let them know that you're doing some dry fire training. So if they hear the clicking of the gun, and they're not in the same room with you. It's not anything crazy. You're just doing some dry fire training. But if you're hitting the target, they should be hearing that go off as well. And again, the awesome thing about this, guys, you could do this with any pistol. I mean, you can buy these laser cartridges on Amazon. You can buy them in a kit with every caliber from 22 all the way up to 50 cal, and anything in between, or you can buy them individually, you know, for whatever caliber pistols that you have. And then, as I mentioned also in the previous video, you can also buy them for, your rifles and your shotguns, so that way, if you want to practice anything like that, you know, you have that option available to you as well. But I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video with you guys, show you my dry fire training, and show you that I actually do use these products. You know, I'll do it about, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And again, with dry fire training, it's not something that you have to dedicate a whole lot of time to. You don't got to reload and, you know, clean up everything. You just got to put everything away once you're done. And, you know, 10 or 15 minutes a day, 2 or 3 times a week, and you should be good to go, and it'll help you maintain, you know, your target acquisition, your trigger squeeze, and all of that stuff. And it's also good for, you know, depending on how far away you live from the range, if you don't want to pack everything up, if you don't have enough ammo, you know, all the factors that could be applied, the weather, you know, all of those things could be affecting your ability to go out to the range and shoot. So this is a good way, inexpensive way. Like I said, cost me about, you know, $28 total for the target and the laser cartridge. And again, with the holidays and the sales going on, you might be able to find it for even cheaper. But that's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for joining us in the bunker. Don't forget to comment, thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the video. Share this video out in the YouTube space, because again, this could help people that are just getting into pistols, just getting into firearms in general, you know, having some issues with accuracy, target acquisition, and trigger squeeze and all of that stuff. These tools will help, guys. So that's all we got for you today. Thank you for joining us in the bunker. I'm your man, Sergeant J-Max. With me as always is Sergeant Jerome. May God bless America. May God bless all of you. Happy holidays, and we out.